Well, if you're looking for something to really add a lot of fun and I don't know, joy, silliness, happiness, great photo opportunities, then add Game Master to your services that you supply. And I'm not kidding. It doesn't take a lot of skill, right? All it takes is the equipment and of course this video to give you some tips. So you could really literally do it right away and add a bunch of pictures to your website and suddenly be selling this and charging good money for it. So I do this as a part of magic packages where I'll do magic face painting balloons and maybe not do the balloons. I might do games instead, or I might do it all and do a longer package. I'll also do it for companies. Company picnics definitely want this. So anyway, here it is. Have at it. It looks fun. It is fun. And I think you'll enjoy it. So this is my setup. This is what I bring. I have a duffel bag full of stuff and I have a rolling cart that I pack full. Now, obviously each gig is different. I might bring different stuff, but this is kind of the basics that I start with, all right? And you notice it rolls in pretty easy and all of a sudden you're set up to go. So the first thing I do are hula hoops, and I do a lot of things with them. As a matter of fact, I might even just throw them out on the ground while I'm unpacking my other equipment and let the kids get started playing and practicing with them. You can even build these little structures with the hula hoops for the kids to play in, and they love to crawl inside of them to play in them. So here's how you build them. You start with one circle at the bottom. Then you take two hula hoops and hook them down in that bottom one and then tip them together. You take another two and do the other two sides like the bottom is a square, and you tip those together. And then the last thing you do is put the last hula hoop around the top to hold it. This is a great visual. It makes for great pictures and it gets the kids playing, right? Then I'm going to run 4 different contests. So I tell the kids I'm going to run the contests and let them practice. First I tell them to practice around their tummy. I tell them to practice around and not everybody can do that, but a lot of kids can. Then I tell them to do it around their neck, and you'll find that other kids can do that. The ones that couldn't do it around their tummy can do it around their neck. And then the easiest one that everybody can do pretty much is around their arms, okay? And I'm going to give you a little quick tutorial on a cool thing that I do. So for the littler kids, 3, 4, 5, they're having a hard time with this. They wouldn't be able to do it so well. But what I do is I reach out and I say, here, give me your hand. And I put the hula hoop on their hand, and then I shake my hand through the hula hoop so that the hula hoop is on their arm. And then what I do is I start it spinning. I start it spinning on their arm, and I help them get the spin going. And I help them get the rhythm. And then all of a sudden I'll let go, and a lot of times they'll keep going. You do that 1 or 2 times and they'll get the rhythm. And then the other cool thing is that parents will jump in and do that with their kids. They'll just shake their hand, put the hula hoop on it, spin, 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 get their kid going. So it's a way to get the little kids into it, but you'd be surprised how many of them can do it once they get the rhythm. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that in. And then the last contest that I have the kids practice is jumping rope with it. Okay, so jumping rope. And it takes a little bit of practice, but everybody can do it, even the big kids.
Nice!
After they practice, all right, then I'll actually run the contest. And I don't make it a big deal about winners or losers. It's just participation, right? So what I'll do is I'll say, all right, now we're going to do a hula hoop contest around your tummy. Here we go. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go, and everybody start. And when it hits the ground, you're out. Okay, so just wait and we'll watch and see who does the best. So you make sure to set that up first so that when kids hit the ground and they want to pick it up to keep playing, you can say, no, just leave it on the ground, And then you'll get the few that keep going. Now, if they really keep going, say they're good, right? They're not going to drop it right away. It might take an hour. I don't know. So then I start doing stuff with them. I said, all right, so keep going, but spin around in a circle, and then they have to spin around in a circle. and one direction is easier than the other. So whichever way they start, they either might make it or it might cause them to drop right away. If they make it, then I have them spin around in a circle the other way, right? Then I might have them stand on one foot, then I have them stand on the other foot, right? Then I have them jump up and down while they're spinning, right? So you just mess with them until finally you have a winner. And all I do is, hey, let's give them a big hand of applause. You're the winner. Now we go to the next game. I mean, again, I don't make it a big deal because for me, it's not about winners and losers. It's about participation, right? So the second one's around the neck, same thing. Around the neck, we do the same thing. Once it stops, then they're done. And then you go till you have a winner. Yay, let's give them a big hand of applause. Then we do it around our arms, same thing. Now that one gets pretty easy. So you have to do stuff again. Do it on one leg, do it on one leg. But when you tell them to spin, that's really hard to do. So that's going to knock somebody out. So I usually save that one for last. Spin around while they're doing it on their arm, because the centrifugal force as you spin changes it. All right. And then finally the jump rope. So what I do with the jump rope is I say, all right, I want you to jump 10 times and then raise your hand. So 1, 2, 3, go, and count them out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you'll see the kids that go up first. So usually I do that as a practice, and I say, all right, this is really it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1 and 10, and you might pick the top 5. Have everybody else sit down. And then you do the top 2, and then you have a playoff with those top 2. And then on the second round, I'll have them do 15 times. And then the third round, I'll say, all right, so all you have to do is 100 times. And it's a joke. I say, no, okay, 20 times. And then you have them do it 20 times, and you'll have a winner, right? So it's, it's kind of a grand finale to that part. One of the things I like to do is reuse the equipment, and hula hoops are great for that. There are all kinds of hula hoop games you can do. Putting them on the ground, you can have parents or, here you can do like ring toss with it. You can also have the parents hold it, or the other kids hold it and make like an obstacle course, especially with little kids, because it's fun for them to, go through it. You make it like a choo-choo train and have all the kids go through the hoops. But there are about 1,000 things you can do with hula hoops. So check that out on the web. There's probably hundreds of things. Games with hula hoops. So the next thing I usually do is break out the parachute, all right? And most of the pictures you're going to see is this size parachute. It's a 20-foot parachute. It's big enough to do some amazing things, take great pictures. But you can also get a 12-foot parachute if you're doing indoors or if you're dealing with just little kids, all right? So let's take just a minute and talk about parachute games, because trust me, these are one of the most fun things you can bring to a party. Parachute is the epitome of follow the leader, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're leading the kids in all these games. And once again, please go check out the internet for parachute games, because there's 1,000 parachute games, right? I usually start with definitely follow the leader. I get everybody to line up, I hold on to it, then let's all walk in a circle this way, and we start walking in a circle this way. All right, now let's turn around and go back this way. All right, and then I do it a little faster. Everything works up, right? You build, right? So then I say, all right, stop, turn around. So we're going to try to follow the leader. Let's see how fast you guys can follow me. 1, 2, 3, stop, turn around. 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 Everybody run, everybody stop, everybody go slow motion. Whatever. Then everybody move to the middle. Everybody move out. Everybody put the parachute up, put the parachute down. Now they're going to want to bounce it like this from the very beginning. So you say, don't worry, we'll do lots of bouncing. And then later you do that. But first play some participation games, right? You can also play a game where you lift the parachute up and you choose colors. Like anybody that's holding a blue color, you're going to cross underneath, but be careful, don't run into your friends underneath. But anyway, everybody holding a blue color is only the people that cross underneath. So you pull it up and the blue people go just like that, back down. Pull it up, back down. Now red people, now green people, and then you have to be one of them, right? Because you're holding a color too. But once again, it's participation, and it's silly, it's great pictures. Then you bring out the ball. So this is a little foam rubber basketball that's light, and trust me, when you bounce this up and down in the parachute, it's great, and you can throw it really high. Now these are indoor snowballs. I'll put a link for Amazon, but then you throw a bunch of those into the parachute, and all of a sudden I call it popcorn. You got balls popping everywhere. So I want you to look at this picture. See how high the kids are looking? That is how high the popcorn balls will go. All right, so there's 3 balls about 25 or 30 feet up. And man, that's impressive. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so while you're popping the balls around, so let's start with the first ball, the single ball. While you're popping that around, it bounces around and then it'll fly off, and the kids will run and grab it and throw it back in. You pop it around, and then you stop everybody and say, okay, we're going to work together as a team. And you try to get them to stop. They have to settle down, right? And then what'll happen is the ball will roll to the center, and that's what you want. And you say, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to lift our hands up together, and then we're going to push them down fast. So it's up slow, down fast. And it takes a minute. You have to practice with them, but they'll finally get it, right? They'll get it up, down, slow. And what happens is the way the parachute works is when you pick it up, it pulls up and the weight of the ball will stay down. But then when you bring it down fast, if they do it right all at the same time, then the outer edges of the parachute will go down. The inner edges will have to catch up, and at the very end, boom, it'll pop that ball up. So with practice, you can shoot that ball up high, right? So here's the way I wrap up the parachute game. So we're all playing follow the leader, right? And so here's what I tell them to do. All right, so we're all going to bring it up together. We're going to step inside 3 steps. Don't let go. Make sure you tell them not to let go. Step inside 3 steps. And then I want you to pull this around behind you and sit on it. So the idea is you lift it up, you all step in 3 steps, and you bring it around and you sit on it. And what happens is this set of pictures, right? Kids are winding up sitting inside this parachute tent. Okay, you can't do this with the 12-foot parachute. You got to do it with a 20 or a 24-foot parachute. But if you get enough kids and you hit it right, if they follow directions, then it makes these great bubbles where you can hang out inside and chat. And I hang out and chat and talk about it. And then when the air goes out, we come out and we do it again. I'll do that 2 or 3 times. It also makes great pictures from the outside. I'll also invite parents to come in with us to take pictures. So it's a great bit, right? One other thing though is when you have to do it a couple of times to get them to get it. They won't sit on it, they'll let go of it, and if they let go of it, the air goes out. But if they do it right, if they bring it up, step in, and sit on it, you get these great bubbles. Also, when you lift it up, so you're lifting it up, you're telling it everybody's lifting it up, but you reach your hand inside the parachute and push it up, so that it goes up as everybody's leaping it, and it brings more air into it. So it's like you go up, but then reach in and push that thing up, and then grab it and bring it around, and you'll get this nice bubble. It's a great way it's a great grand finale to this particular bit. This is a picture of my friend Mr. Mike running a game where kids use pentatonic tubes for the same thing. These tubes are kind of crazy. They make a whole bunch of other games, but what you use them for is, say somebody gets out of a game, like the hula hoop games where people fall out. Give them the kids to play with, and they automatically sound good when the kids are playing with them. So now let's talk about the tug-of-war rope before we get into the actual tug-of-war game. I use these to set the space of my game area. I'll put the tug-of-war rope and make a line on one end, and then I might use that for gunny sack races or anything like that. And then I'll take these little cones that I keep in my bag also, and I'll set up a line on the other end. Or I might make the hula hoops the ending part where the kids have to land in the hula hoop. So use these tools. Also, I want to show and get into gunny sack races, right? Gunny sack races are amazing. And I found these colorful gunny sacks on Amazon, so I'll share those as well. Everybody loves it. Everybody's used to it. Everybody knows it. Oh, hop and spin. Look at him go. Look at him go. It's going to be close. Look at him go. It's going to be close. Good job. Good job. Find a hula hoop. Find a hula hoop. Find a hula hoop. So again, let's talk about gunny sack races real quick, right? So first of all, you have to help the little kids that these bags are too long for. And you either roll up the top of the bags. That's what I do most, is I'll roll up the top of the bags to make it shorter, 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 and then I'll have them grab that roll so that they're able to hold it. I'll also run heats, right? I'll run the little kids against each other. I'll run the big kids against each other. If I have just a few kids that have little kids and big kids, I'll let the little kids start first. You guys go first, and I'll make the big kids wait. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. You guys can go. And I might even wait until the little kids are almost all the way, right? And I also make them run both lengths. They have to go all the way down around the cones and come back. All the way down around the cones and come back. But then as you see, I add things to make it different. I'll have them go sideways. I'll have them go spinning, especially the big kids. I'll have them spin at the end, and I might have them end up in a hula hoop somewhere. So the idea is to play with it, right? I'm sure you can find a whole YouTube video on how to play gunny sack races, but trust me, they're worth it. And with these colored bags, man, they look good and they make great pictures. Another thing about these games is relay races, right? There are hundreds of relay races that you can do. This is a little toy I found on Amazon. It's great. I use it all the time, and you know, so kids bounce down to the end, they bounce back. So you line the kids up in a line. First kid goes first, and then they hand it off to the second kid behind him. Pretty crazy, let me tell you. I love it. They're fun, they're simple, they're soft. That's what the great thing is. Anyway, have fun. And now we're going to get to the craziest thing, the bubbles. I have a lot of bubbles, and I'm going to talk a lot about bubbles because bubbles rock, man. They are so much fun. So I start with rubber gloves, and then what I use for my bubble bucket is a 5-pound paint bucket from Home Depot, and I put stickers on it. These stickers are like sea animals, but they're shower stickers for the bottom of your shower so that they are waterproof, right? Anyway, you fill out this 5-pound bucket with about 3/4 full of the bubble juice, put the lid on it, and you can carry it in your car, no problem. And here's all I use. Dawn dishwashing liquid, 16 ounces of Dawn dishwashing liquid, and a tablespoon of Big Bubble Mix, which I'll put in the link down below. And now you make some bubble wands, all right? Big bubble wands. Now these are long. I wanted them longer so I could get them higher up above the kids' heads where they couldn't pop them. And I just used tent poles is what I used. But you just make a circle, right? It's a big round circle. And I hung a weight on the bottom just so that it helps open the circle, right? And look what happens. All of a sudden, you can make big, beautiful bubbles. And I mean big bubbles, impressive bubbles. People love it. And so I bring them to all kinds of events, and I use them as a part of my show. This is pretty impressive, as you can tell. So the second wand I use is the multiple bubble wand, and I made this myself. This is soft cotton rope, that's all it is. And I tied it in a triangle, and I made multiple bubble squares. And the reason you do that is now you can make big, huge strings of multiple bubbles or lots and lots of little bubbles. And this is good when it's windy because those other bubbles are kind of tough in the wind. But this makes bubbles everywhere. This is a 70th birthday party that I did where I let the birthday girl play with the bubbles. And man, let me tell you, it is a lot of fun. So if I'm doing lawn games and I'm not just doing the bubbles as a part of my show, I bring this bag as well. And these are little foam pool toys that I got at the 99-cent store, and I cut into 4 pieces. So $1 pool toy will make 4 bubble poppers. That's what I call them, bubble poppers. And I get some bubble wands. So what I'll do is I'll have a few kids, 4 or 5 kids, making bubbles and everybody else popping bubbles. This is a great bit, makes great pictures. And then what I also do is I also do put a big bubble wand, so that in that kit I can do everything. I can start with a big bubble and then I can let kids play, and it just is a good time, and it really adds to the game master thing that you're doing. Notice how the kids are running around popping the bubbles, and then I might let one of the kids play with the big bubble wand while we're all being silly and having a crazy time. So this is a crazy thing I bought about 30 years ago. It was called 50 Feet of Fun, and they don't make them anymore, so I'm going to do a whole video on how you can make your own. But this is beautiful. I'm up on stilts. It's good for parades. It's good for anything. And man, it really catches everybody's attention.
That's how it was supposed to be for the little kids. Meow, 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 meow. Woo. Pretty good.
Then, of course, it's time for the kids to play. For 14 bucks, I got, 20 of these, and you just pass them out, and the kids go crazy. Again, makes for great pictures, and you are off to your next bit. So I end my games usually with the tug-of-war and the water balloon toss, okay? And these are 2 great bits at lawn games, but I want to talk you through them a little bit because I've come up with some things that I think really make a difference in the long run. Again, 2 great games, but how you run them makes a difference, right? So let's talk about the tug-of-war. So kids have been wanting to play tug-of-war since I brought that rope out, and I'll use that. I'll say, all right, if y'all come sit over here, we're going to get ready for the tug-of-war here in just a few minutes. And the kids will go, whoosh, and they'll sit down because they want to play the tug-of-war. But when we finally get to it, they're like, yay! So they'll grab that rope and they'll immediately start pulling. So you have to stop that because kids will get hurt, right? Literally, they took tug-of-war out of Olympic competition because people got their hands ripped off. They got hurt. They step on each other's ankles. Anyway, so the first thing you do is you balance your teams. You count, you try to pick big kids, little kids, and you try to pick a balance of their teams. And then once you get close, you have a practice. Okay, we're going to practice for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, stop. And you see if one team has an advantage, and then you balance it out. You might move somebody over or grab somebody else in on one side. You try to get a balance, right? Then you let them go. Our first competition, here we go, go, and you let them go. Now, if one team starts to take off, so one team starts to go a little too early where it's not a pretty solid competition, you'll grab it and pull the kids back. And they're like, no fair, no fair. And then you let go, and then they'll pull in, you grab it and pull back, let go, no, no. And so then you end that game. This team wins, give them a big hand, yay. Now we're going to do it again. Let's see, we need one more person on this side to balance it out. You play a couple of games like that. Then I might do, all right, girls against boys, let's go, girls against boys. And if there's a discrepancy, say there's 10, 12-year-old boys over here and only 5 3-year-old girls, to accentuate that, get some moms on board. Come on, moms, you're in. They need your help. Get it. And then you'll have a game of girls against boys. I also, in smaller groups, I love to do everybody against me as the finale. I'll do everybody against me. And you can hold off a lot of kids, but obviously, you'll let them win. So multiple games, give them time to shake off their hands a little bit. Make sure that any little tiny kids are not in the fray, because little tiny kids will get stepped on, right? So you tell moms and dads that we don't want them to get hurt, so have them hold back. You can also take these ropes and play jump rope with them, right? If you get one that's not quite as thick as this one I've got in the picture, I've got like 4 different ropes. You get a lighter weight one, you can have a jump rope game where you line up the kids and have them come through and jump rope. And you don't have to do full jump rope. You can just rock back and forth and they have to jump over it for the littlest kids. And then when you get the older kids, like the big kids, 10, 12, whatever, they'll jump rope and they'll have fun. So now let's talk about water balloons. I don't know if you noticed, but in those 2 pictures I have, everybody's throwing the balloons at the same time. That's not how I run it. I don't have a lot of pictures of my water balloon shows because they're hard to get pictures of. The reason is that I only do it 1 throw at a time. So I'll line up the kids, I'll tell them to shake hands with their partner so they're that close. I'll hand all the balloons down one side. Then I say, we're going to do it 1 at a time. All right, we're going to start at one end and I'll start at the end and I'll say, all right, hand it over, hand it over, hand it over. And I'm walking down the line, giving, calling when they're going to do it. Hand it over, hand it over, hand it over, hand it over. See, because most people run these as throwing them all at the same time. The problem with that is the fun of the water balloon toss is watching people get splattered with the balloons or watching great catches, and if everybody does it at the same time, then nobody sees it because they're busy getting the throw and the catch. Nobody's paying attention to anybody else. So walk up down the line, hand it over, hand it over, hand it over. And then you get down to the end, you turn around, you take 1 line, and you say, okay, everybody here, take 1 step back. So 1 line steps back. Then you walk down the line and you say, toss it, toss it, toss it. And you do it 1 at a time. And what happens is you build this rhythm. You're walking down the line, they're throwing them 1 at a time, then everybody steps back over here. Back, throw, throw, throw. And then once you get to where you start getting pops, now everybody gets to see every single pop. And that's great. But also you get to see great catches, right? You get to see kids catching it and it's hanging out their fingers and they're just holding the knot and it's like a great catch and everybody gets to clap. So it builds, it's great. And it's fun to get to see everybody participate. So I'm going to say don't throw them all at one time. Do them 1 at a time, up and down the lines. And then, that would be a kind of thing where kids get out and you let them play with the pentatonic sticks, right? So they're making noise and they're playing background music for you. Then you do this. Now, when you get to the very end, the last team that wins usually has a balloon left, all right? And I carry either a lapel pin or a safety pin. And what I do is I say, take the balloon back from them. I give them a big hand. And then I gather everybody around and I say, all right, everybody come close. We're going to, it's the grand finale. And I take that pin out and I'll poke 2 or 3 holes right where the knot of the balloon is, because where the rubber is less stretched at that end. It's softer. So you can poke 2 or 3 holes. And then what happens is you use it like a squirt gun. You squeeze from the bottom and these will squirt and you can squirt the whole group. And so what I do is I save a bunch of water balloons back, or I might get, if you get those kind of water balloons that pop easily, I'll also get a bag of regular balloons that don't pop easily, because those, man, you can get yards and yards and yards before they pop. Regular round balloons. But I'll pull these extra balloons out at the end and I'll poke holes in them and I'll give them to the kids and let them run around and squirt each other. So letting them run around and blast each other with water balloons is dangerous. People get hurt, they get hit in the face, it's bad. But letting kids run around, squirt each other, it's wonderful. And I enjoy squirting the adults too, what the heck, it's fun. So anyway, that's how I wrap up my game master things, right? So I hope you enjoy these. I hope you get some equipment. I'll put links on whatever I can find in the thing. And also one of my next videos will be how to build that 50 feet of fun ribbon. Okay, have a great day. All right, so that's the end of this video. I'm just gonna run some clips of me cleaning up my toys because boy, isn't that part of the deal, right? But oh, by the way, when you're swinging these big wands, the reason I do that is to wrap them up, right? But it also swings a bunch of the bubble juice off. And so that way it dries faster and easier. So I just pack it all back away, right? It goes back into the rolling cart. I use those wands that are sticking up. I'll use those to hang things on later because it makes it easier. But the idea again is you pack small. I mean, this isn't small, but trust me, when you're rolling this in, it's not bad. You know, you're rolling the rolling cart. I do sometimes put the tug-of-war rope into the gunny sack bags just because it gives it a place to stay. Again, everything fits into my one rolling cart and my one duffel bag. I pack small, I roll in, and I bring all of this color and all of this fun and all of these great photos. And, you know, I'm charging $200-300 an hour for this because it's worth it. It's valuable. So once again, it does take a little bit of an investment, but by the time you get the investment done and you watch this video, you'll be knocking them dead. Have fun spreading joy.